Hi, this is lesson 4.9 for linear algebra. We're going to be dealing with Markov chains. So what we did in pre-calculus is that we found fixed points for recurrence relationships. So I'd like you to try all three of these and see if you can find the fixed points for those. If you don't remember, fixed points is where now is equal to the next. So hopefully you paused and tried this, but you get x equal to 1. So I did now and next are the same, so I made those both x variables. Then I went ahead and solved, and I get x equal to 1. Well, what does that mean for us? Well, that means if I take 1 and I plug it into here, 4 times 1 minus 3 gives me 1. So that means that no matter what happens, once I get into that 1, or I guess my starting value is 1, then I'm going to end up with that 1 every time. So go ahead and try the second and third one if you haven't tried those already, and come back and see what we end up with. Now this one's pretty fun because when you do now equal to next, as I did right here, this x, I got a few of them in there, and I cross multiply and I get a quadratic. When I factor that quadratic, I get 2. So what does that mean? Well, back here when I plugged in 1, I got 1 over and over again. Well, if I plug in negative 0.5 into this, I'm going to get negative 0.5 over and over again. If I plug 3 into this, oh, it's 2 different values. Now what's interesting too is that for most values that you do plug in here, this is going to approach negative 1/2. And you can justify that or look at that in your calculator. But we're going to approach negative 1/2. Now the only time that we do get 3 then is that when we plug in 3 as our starting value, then this will always be 3. So we have multiple points that we go towards. Now if I start at a different point, say for instance 6, if I start with the initial value of 6, eventually I'm going to approach negative 1/2. It's more asymptotic than it is just getting into that fixed point. But we get attracted to that negative 1/2. Okay, the last one deals with a credit card payment, so you can figure out that one too. What this one means is that if I have a credit card that takes 22%, charges 22% annual interest. My credit card statement, if I, for instance, buy a TV that's 27.27, and then they tell me, oh, you only have to pay off the minimum $50 every month, my fixed point is going to be this. So that means that every month, if I'm only paying off this $50, every month I'm going to get this bill right here, and the bank will own me forever. Stay away from that. Okay. This is kind of recursive formulas that we've done before. Markov chains is kind of a recursive formula for matrices, and so that's what we want to try to get into, and so I made some preview problems in order to get us into that. So if we look at Markov chains, and then we find probabilities that are repeated, it's very much recursive formulas for matrices, as I did say, and we keep on doing transitions over and over again. Sometimes we might end up at a fixed point, and we're still doing the repeat, but we're fixed on one point, so then we're kind of done in some respects. Andrei Markov developed a system with matrices in order to replicate the chain of events. That's why we have Markov chains. Okay, let's go to this example. At our cafeteria, we have Mr. Ho. Mr. Ho runs the cafeteria, or at least used to run the cafeteria. And we want to say, okay, Mr. Ho, we want to figure out how many people eat at your restaurant, a cafeteria, over the course of time. And so if he did some statistics and he found out that Mr. Ho eats food on one day, there's a 70% chance that they will eat Mr. Ho food the next day. If they don't eat Mr. Ho, the probability that they will eat Mr. Ho the next day is 40%. Notice that if this is 70%, then the people that don't eat Mr. Ho is going to be 30. Similarly, this is 40. Eating Mr. Ho the next day, then 60 would not again. And so if we start off with some initial value, that's what we're starting off with here. Let's say 75% of the students ate in the cafe on day 1, Monday. So let's see what happens with Mr. Ho in this situation. So we have one of two situations. Either students are going to eat Mr. Ho or they're not. So I'm going to call that the complement of that. And what are the probabilities for each one of those? Well, day 1, it's going to be 0.75. So this is my initial state. And this would be my initial state matrix that I would develop with that. Then after one day, so we want to see what happens after a transition, The people that go from Mr. Ho to Mr. Ho, or Ho not to Ho, would be 0.7 and 0.3. So I'm just doing the probabilities of each one of those. Notice they add up to 1. And then Ho and not going to Mr. Ho would be, this would be a 0.4 and this would be a 0.6. And that's from this data right here. Okay? So I want to find out what happens then on Tuesday. This was the Monday, this is the Tuesday. Well, the probability that students who eat Mr. Ho on the first day and the second day is going to be 0.525. How did I get that? Well, I just multiply our probabilities. So to find out how many people eat Mr. Ho on the first day and not Mr. Ho on the second day, I multiply these two. And doing that, I'm going to get, what's my value here? 0.225. And I can crank the last two ones in a similar fashion, and I get the following two values. What happens with this? Well, if I add them all up, I'm going to get 1. Oh, yeah, that should make sense, because we're dealing with all the students, and that's what they're going to be doing. Now, if I was Mr. Ho, I don't care about some of this other stuff. I just want to know what happens on Tuesday. So Mr. Ho would be 0.625, and then not going to Mr. Ho would be the remainders. And once again, this is a probability space, so that's going to add to 1 when we add those up. Okay? So now we want to go, I don't want to know what happens Tuesday, I want to know what happens Friday. I want to know what happens December 1st, whatever the case might be. So I need to do these things repetitively. Well, I certainly don't want to multiply these things over and over again, so we're going to use matrices to help us out. So first of all, our initial distribution, and we're going to go in vector form. Some books or some ways to do this would be going across, but we're going to go down, and so our initial state is 0.75 and 0.25. Then my transitional matrix. Well, how we set this up, if I'm going in columns instead of rows, I'm going to go from, and I'm going to go to. So this is Mr. Ho, and then I'm going to go over here to not Mr. Ho, not Mr. Ho. So from Mr. Ho to Mr. Ho is going to give us a value of 0.7. And then this one right here is going to give me not Mr. Ho to Mr. Ho, which would be 0.4. And notice that my vector is going down for this one. If I go Mr. Ho to not Mr. Ho would be my 0.3. And then this one would be 0.6. Notice these add to 1. Okay? So that would be my transitional matrix. Woohoo! So I got this set up. So if I want to do a Markov chain, I'm going to take my transitional matrix. Maybe I call this P. And I'm going to multiply that by my transitional matrix, which is X naught. So in looking at this, I'd go ahead and do the multiplication, and this is called the Markov chain, partially. So this is the initial, so I'm going to do one transition by my initial distribution, and I'm going to get, oh, look at these values. Oh, that's the same as that. Well, why is that? Well, if I remember my matrix multiplication, I'm going to go across and then go down. So this is 0.7 times 0.75, oh, there's that. And so that would be the, let me start again. This is 0.75 times 0.7 times 0.75. And then I also have my 0.4 times my 0.25. That gives me the second day of Mr. Ho. And then likewise, if I go here and then here, that's going to give me the ends of these two right there. Same exact thing. Cool. Now, Mr. Holt wants to know what happens down the line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this repetitively. And since my transition matrix is a square matrix, I can, for instance, go ahead and go P to the 27th times X naught. That's going to tell me what happens after 27 transitions. So, for instance, if I want to know what happens Friday, and this is on your next sheet, how many transitions did it take from Monday to Tuesday? It's going to be 1. How many from Monday to Friday? Some people might think it's 5, but it's actually just 4 transitions. And so you have to figure out how many you do have in order to calculate these things. So now when we do this, Mr. Ho, what can he expect long term? So all I have to do is take that p and raise it to a big power. So for instance, if I do this, 0.75, 0.25, I'm going to get 0.571, 4, and 0.428. I don't know if Mr. Ho wants to be this accurate. We can even put a 5 there. So he's going to figure out that over the course of time, the people that are eating at Mr. Ho is going to be 0.57, 57% of the students. Now this method works as long as we have one steady state. Oh, this goes back to what we did with the recursive formula before. We can raise it to a high power as long as we get one steady state. If we have multiple steady states, this might be a problem. You might have to raise it to some different values. And we'll also look at another time how to solve for this. So I want you to go ahead and play around with this. If I take p to the 30 and multiply by some sort of, instead of x naught, well, we can call it y naught, try different values for this initial state and see if you do get this same steady state after you get done. You do have to play around with this. Now a digraph is a directional graph, so it's got arrows. So I'm going to have two situations. So question 5 says, draw a digraph for this. So I have H and H naught. So the people that are going from Mr. Ho to Mr. Ho are going to be 70%. And then I'm going to go from Mr. Ho over to not eating Mr. Ho will be 0.3. Notice anything stemming from Mr. Ho is going to add up to 1. And then if I go from not Mr. Ho to not Mr. Ho, that would be 60%. And then going over here is going to be 0.4 that are going to transfer over. Notice that these two values, once again, add to 1. So this would be a digraph for our situation. And then we have a question here. What's the fixed point? So if Mr. Ho started with something, is he going to finish with that same value? Think about that for a minute. And I think you can figure that out. What is the fixed point for this situation? Sure, if I started off with whatever my steady state is, then I would end up with the fixed point. Later on, we have to be careful because sometimes it's going to jump around and it depends what your initial state is too. But right now for these pretty simple ones, you are going to end up with one steady state, and that would also be what we would call our fixed point for this. And I don't think fixed point is really terminology for Markov chains, but I really like the relationship between recursive formulas and that for us. So let's define some things here. Probability vector. Probability vector, and this is kind of going in reverse. We did the example, and now we're going to define what we did. But a probability vector would be non-negative entries in a column matrix that add to 1. So all the entries together are going to add to 1. And then a stochastic matrix would be a square matrix and that's going to be of probability vectors. So our transitional matrix, which we call P, is an example of a stochastic matrix. And sometimes those will settle down to certain values. You can play around with those a little bit if you want. Then the Markov chain is it's pretty much P times X naught, and we're going to do it in a repetitive manner. And so this would be equal to X1, and then we're going to go P times X1 is equal to X2, and so on. So this arrangement where we take a transitional matrix times some sort of vector and then keep on repeating it is going to be our Markov chain. So I could go P times XK is equal to XK plus 1 if we prefer that recursive kind of notation. And then the steady state vector is what we settle down to. In your book, it shows you how to solve for it as well. And why you would solve for it instead of raising it to higher powers is because, well, what if it doesn't settle down to one thing? So our little method where I just raised it to a really high power, like I did up here, this works. Well, it works if there's only one steady state. If not, you have to go into the book and figure out how to solve for that. Okay? So that's what we want to try to do. And you're going to be extending this to 3x3s, etc. But right now, I just did a 2x2 example, and your gifts for 4.9 are here. These are fun, and students tend to really enjoy these. I hope you do. All right? Thanks for watching this on Markov Chains, and have a great day.